What is up, Limitless Minds family? Limitless Live is going up on a Tuesday. We are so happy to have you here. We're going to be talking neutral thinking, and I get to have the honor of taking the stage with my good energy, high frequency colleague and friend, Karla, up in the house. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you, Cholo?
We're good. I'm better now that I'm here with you.
I love it. Good energy,
See,
high frequency.
high frequency. Hey, let's in that note, let's share something good that has happened to us in the last like 24, 48 hours to bring some high frequency with each other.
Oh my goodness. This is our first live together in November.
It
And
is.
so for me, it marks not only my birthday month, but kicking off National Gratitude Month, right?
Mm,
And so for me, like that, the high frequency thing is just really focusing on things to be thankful for.
yes.
And then the last 24 hours, I was really thankful that the Thai restaurant across the street from my office finally opened.
Okay, what'd you order? Have you ordered anything yet?
Ooh, drunken noodle with beef.
Yes.
Hmm.
I'm here for
Yes.
that. I am here for drunken noodle. I love it.
What
It
about
makes
you?
sense that this is gratitude month, considering it's Thanksgiving time.
Mhm.
And what I am grateful for in the past 24 hours, I flew back from New Orleans last night and my flight was on time. I got to come home to my dog Dewey, who was just so happy. He howled for about 5 straight minutes and it warmed my soul. So, as we know, traveling can often be, I would say, a circumstance where it's difficult to stay neutral and it's
Mhm.
difficult to find the gratitude piece. But I was feeling it last night, Karla, and excited to really be here with you today.
Love that so much. And what I love is like we're talking about the mundane,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yes.
new restaurant, right? Flight on time. So easy to take those things for granted,
It
right?
really
But
is.
when we stop to just look for little things that we can be thankful for, it's a whole shift in our energy.
It is. I love it. And it reduces that stress chemical in our body, cortisol. So we're here with high frequency together today.
Yeah,
And
love
we're
it.
talking about thinking and 3 ways to get to neutral.
Mhm.
I wanted us to start by debunking the two things that neutral isn't. I love to start there. And one being that neutral isn't positive thinking, is it, Karla? We're not telling everyone that they need to think positively. Why? Why are we saying think neutrally versus thinking positively?
Essentially, it's this idea that when we tell people to be positive or think positive, often it comes across as inauthentic
Hmm.
and potentially not well placed,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We're in a tough situation right now. Again, I love Russell Wilson's example. Like, we're down by 20 or
Hmm.
whatever, with 4 minutes left in the game. Do you really run up and down the line telling your guys, let's stay positive,
Yeah. Yeah.
or do we deal with the reality that this might not be our time, but we've got
Yeah.
to finish the job?
Yeah.
So anyway, this idea that often positivity can come across as ill-timed, misplaced,
Hmm.
insincere,
Yeah.
leads to frustration, right?
Absolutely.
And then, of course, the idea that negative thinking works. It
Yep.
works really well
Yeah.
and it's consistently negative. It takes you all the way down.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. High performance does not live in negative spaces, right? High performance lives in the neutral. And the second, I think, point we have to debunk, besides that neutral thinking is not positive thinking, is neutral thinking is not devoid of emotion. Neutral thinking is focusing on concrete facts and the objective without judgment or grading. And I loved one of the ways that you've chosen to get to neutral, which is feel it, don't fall for it. So I would
yeah.
love to double click on that quickly
Mhm.
and ask, can you explain that a bit better?
Yeah, feel it, but don't fall for it. So if you're counting, right, this is the number one way of our three ways that we're going to get to neutral. Feel it, but don't fall for it. And by the way, I'm a little bit distracted. Rebecca is asking.
I know.
Um,
I know.
And since I'm a fangirl, okay,
Okay.
the detour and ask you, Jolo, were you on the women's national soccer team?
I was. Rebecca, thank you for asking. I was on the U.S. women's national team, who are 4-time Olympic gold medalists, 4-time world champions, and signed into legislation historic equal pay in 2022. So, always something that I love to talk about. I'm very proud of. And I retired from the NWSL, which is a National Women's Soccer League. I say that because the championship game is coming up this weekend, and we have 2 legends and icons who are playing against each other in their last games ever. So we have Megan Rapinoe versus Ali Krieger this weekend in San Diego in the NWSL Championship. So I want to encourage everyone to tune in. These are players who have really shaped history, especially Megan Rapinoe in terms of equal pay and social justice.
Love that.
So let's go. Thank you for asking.
That. And then congratulations on your recent induction into the Montgomery County, is it Athletes Hall of Fame?
It's the Sports Hall of Fame. Yes. I got to wear a sequined sparkly jacket and really represent the state of Maryland, which I'm low-key obsessed with, Karla. So
love that so much. You know, my boys were born in Silver Spring.
They were?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes.
What hospital?
Holy Cross.
Okay. Yes. That's probably 5-10 minutes away from my house right now.
There you go. We had a baby in the NICU there for a month. Right?
Wow.
And that helps me to lead into this idea of feel it, but don't fall for it. Right. So, you know, I was thinking about this morning, and I feel like there's kind of this old school perspective that says, you know, be objective, not emotional. Right. And it kind of suppresses emotion. It kind of asks us to not feel it or pretend it's not there. Maybe even, you know, women are too emotional. Right. You know, that's something that kind of haunted and bothered me, you know, in my growing up and development. And I think now the wisdom is no. Acknowledge that emotion, feel it all the way through, understand what it is, right? But then don't fall for the hokey doke, right? And so is that to say that your feelings are always tricking you? No, right? But I recently was exposed to the emotion wheel, and I got to bring a graphic next time, right, to kind of talk about this. But it really says, you know, there are these 4 basic emotions, right? Joy, anger, fear, sadness. And we're like, well, no, there's lots more than that. Yeah. Well, typically what happens is we're able to name one of those 4. And then you pull back the layer on that. We'll just take anger, for example, okay? Because there's a lot of that in my house with the 9 and 7-year-old and the 2-year-old, you know, indignant. Oh yeah, and then the husband. Okay. Anyway, so
you won't name names.
So there's this presentation of anger, right? And then you pull back the layer and you realize what's under it is frustration. And then you pull back another layer and you realize the source of the frustration is a sense of inadequacy. Now we're able to deal with what's really there, right? And start to navigate some solutions around that. Right? And maybe start to focus on the facts that are causing us to feel this sense of inadequacy. But we presented anger, and we probably felt anger, right? What we were more specifically experiencing was frustration. And now that we understand it's a sense of inadequacy that is making us feel this way, right? We can deal with the facts related to that. So the idea, you know, feel it, acknowledge it, explore it a little bit, right? Don't fall for the piece of it that's going to get you to be distracted and then operate outside of your gift or outside of your mission. Right?
I think we're not necessarily taught how to feel those emotions. And do you have tips for our audience of how they can really tap into those feelings and acknowledge, you know, the layers. Like, what am I actually feeling in this moment versus I'm angry?
Right, right. So, first of all, this idea of noticing it in your body,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, oftentimes we have more physical awareness, maybe, than mental, emotional, or spiritual, because I felt it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
um, um, the nerves and chemicals associated with it.
Yeah.
Okay, where is that? Is my neck tight? Do I feel
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
tingling in my heart that registers heartbreak? Feeling left out, alone, whatever, right? Is it in my stomach, in my gut?
Mm.
Am I clenching my fists? Like, just like taking the moment to feel it in your body.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think breath, right?
Yeah.
Stopping to breathe through it will allow you to experience more physical awareness
Yeah.
of the manifestation of this feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, frankly, just pause. And maybe I should have said that first, right? Just the power of the pause, like
Yeah.
stopping to recognize I'm feeling something.
Yeah.
So often we try to move into motion in an attempt to avoid the feeling,
Mm-hmm.
cover it up or displace it, or we get into like, you know, blaming someone or
Yeah.
transferring it to them so that we don't have to take responsibility for it. So if we were to just stop, pause, right, and
Yes.
introspect, I think that's a super helpful start on feeling what you feel.
I love that. And I think about where I feel my emotions. Number one is definitely my stomach when it comes to anxiety or
Mhm.
fear.
Mhm.
You and I do a lot of public speaking,
Mhm.
and just like I would before any game, I get nervous, Karla,
Mhm.
right? Like
Mhm.
I have anxiety. I'm excited, and so I can feel that in my stomach.
Mhm.
And I'm definitely a clencher of my jaw.
Mhm.
So when I fly, because I think I am a little bit more anxious and nervous, I actually wear, I'm going to be vulnerable here. I wear a mouth guard because I sleep with a mouth guard because I grind my teeth. So I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm just going to put that mouth guard in when I fly. And that way it just kind of like eases my jaw and it allows my body to relax a little bit more.
Oh,
So
I love that.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
So
my goodness.
and, when I think about the power of the pause, it's creating that distance from the emotion, right? Because we are the feeler, not the feeling.
Mhm.
Sometimes a certain feeling can feel all encompassing. It can
Mhm.
feel like it's taking over our essence and our being when we can create that distance. Because as Susan Cain says, emotions are data, they're not directives, right?
That's
They're just
good.
data.
Yeah.
We're reading that data in our body to allow us to understand, okay, what is my next right step? Knowing that a lot of the best parts of life are on the other side of fear. And if
Cause
you're not feeling those emotions, then I'm worried about you, right? Because then you're not
absolutely.
really a human being.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or you are a broken human being, a repressed human being,
Mhm.
a hurting human being, and then you start bleeding all over everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Oh my gosh. You and I had a great conversation a few months ago about what's past that fear.
Yeah.
And I left that feeling completely charged, like I can do
Yes.
anything.
Yeah.
So I might need to schedule more time with you, right? To push past that fear, especially for women. But one of the things that you said that resonated, the idea that feelings are data and not directives,
Yeah.
right? So this gets into that falling for it piece,
Yeah.
right? Where we are often distracted by the feelings because we've taken them as a directive
Mhm.
or we've associated more meaning to them than they should have or a
Yeah.
different meaning like
Yeah.
that well, that's actually not real, right? But maybe jumping to that conclusion, um, or defaulting to some old ways of thinking,
Mhm.
is now going to distract us,
Yeah.
from really performing at our best and our highest,
Yeah.
and keeps us out of neutral, frankly. So, first of all, we're going to feel it, but not fall for it.
Yes. Feel it, don't fall for it. Create that distance of unhooking from those emotions. And then The second one that you have, which is also so important, is focus on the facts, right? Which is understanding emotions are data and not directives. What are the facts in this situation? And yeah, you tell me and double click. Maybe you can bring up a situation where you've had to get to neutral. What were the facts that you focused on that allowed you to kind of step through those emotions?
Yeah. So you all know I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I love spending my days as a coach, as a public speaker. Love that. I happen to be supporting a trial team remotely right now,
Mm,
right? And so there's this kind of a play on the word focus on the facts, right? Because we're preparing and presenting evidence, and we want the jury to focus on the facts, right? And make the best decision, the one that we hope is in our client's best interest. But then there's also the lawyer herself who's
hmm.
sitting at her computer, right, with a mountain of things to do.
Yeah.
Her name is Karla, by the way. And sometimes she's feeling a sense of overwhelm, like, where do I start? And am I making a difference? And does it even matter?
Yeah.
Do they care about my contributions? This is sort of some of the headset that I have, right?
Hmm.
And then I recognize, so you're feeling overwhelmed, and you're questioning your worth and your value
Mm, mm.
because you're not necessarily in the spot that you want to be in or that you envisioned, right? And there's a lot swirling. You'd be amazed at how many last minute fire
I'm
drills
sure.
happen when you're preparing for a trial,
Yeah.
regardless of how many years you've been preparing for it. And I said years. Yeah, yeah. And so, as all these pieces are moving, you're battling your own internal dialogue,
Hmm.
about, again, I'm battling my own internal dialogue about my worth, my contributions. We've got a large team. Is are my contributions meaningful? That's a big piece of it. And so for me, shifting into focusing on the facts
Hmm.
has quieted the
Mm,
monkey mind.
yeah.
It's quieted that inner dialogue, and it's gotten me to, like, okay, so what specific tasks need to be done today
Yeah.
that will make a contribution? And remember the task you did yesterday, how valuable that was
Right.
to the team and to the client? Those are facts,
Yes.
you know? Those are the facts.
Yes.
So, essentially, the way to get to neutral is by focusing on what's actually happening
Yep.
in this moment, right? What are we facing? What's the challenge? What's the threat? Who are the main characters? Almost like,
Yeah.
breaking down a story from your old English class, right?
Yes.
Right? What's the setting? And those things are factual. It's not a dispute.
Yeah.
And so when we can focus in on that, then we can start to see what would be the next right step
Hmm.
in dealing with this particular thing, right? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop there. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit.
No, that resonates so much, and I think it would resonate with our audience today. We got Matt Miller, we got DJ who's going to bring his mouth guard on his next flight. I love that, DJ. And Monica's here, and Rebecca has a great question, which I'll ask you after this one comment I had that resonated with me is the fact that if you challenge yourself, right, growth lies 4% outside of our comfort zone. So naturally, we're going to have these self doubts. We're going to have this negative narrator oftentimes when we are pushing ourselves past our comfort level.
That's
And
good.
learning how to turn down the negativity, which is such a huge part of neutral, is allowing us to access the facts because a lot of life's distractions live in our own head.
Mhm.
Right? It's just that narrator, that voice that you talked about, that headset that is constantly going because we have that self-doubt. So
Mhm.
the awareness piece, Karla, is massive, right? You're aware that, okay, I have this voice.
Mhm.
And now I can take action, right? Awareness is the first step to behavior change.
Mhm.
So, kudos to you that you've been able to know and maybe name that narrator in your head so then you can turn down that noise.
Absolutely. And I find that it's exhausting.
Yeah,
And
no, it
I
is. It is.
spend a whole
Yeah.
extra layer of time and energy wading through the negative self-talk and
Yeah.
the self-defeating soundtrack,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Instead of getting into the facts,
Yeah.
right? And just doing the work. Once I focus on the facts and I start to get clarity about my next right step, it's a whole lot less
Yeah.
exhausting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So it's a lot of work up front in order
Mhm.
to be able to take that next step. It's the awareness piece of the
Exactly.
emotion. And
Exactly.
Rebecca has a great question, is asking what if you don't like the facts?
Mm.
Meaning the facts are what is causing the anxiety and feeling of being paralyzed.
Mhm.
She
Mhm.
went through this on a long job search and knowing many people feel this now are in film and TV industry. So what if you don't like the
Absolutely.
facts, Karla?
Oh, yeah, that's so real. All right. So, honestly, one of my first thoughts about that is neutral, right?
Yeah.
The facts are,
Yeah.
and they don't change,
Right.
right? Okay. I'm not sure what particular facts that we're talking about, but the facts are.
Yeah.
And so when we quote unquote don't like them, we're starting to assign meaning to
Yeah.
them,
Yes.
right? And that's a choice we make.
Mhm.
Okay. If the fact is I don't have a job right now and the industry is striking, right? Or the fact is I'm sitting at my computer at 12:30 at night eating my drunken noodle. Well, no, I stopped eating the drunken noodle before 10 because I'm trying to stay in my eating window. But I'm still sitting here at 12:30 at
Yeah.
night and I'm starting to doze off,
Yeah.
right? But I said I was going to finish this project. I want to finish this project, right? But I have been sitting here for 10 hours. I've taken a couple walks, I've gotten food, I've gotten water, I've gotten coffee, but I'm dozing off,
Yeah.
right? I don't like that I'm not done with the project. I don't like that I'm dozing off or feel like I don't have control over my ability to stay awake right now, right? But it is a fact that
Yeah.
I have hit my head against this table a couple times dozing off. And so the question is, do I assign meaning that says
Mhm.
you're lazy, you're not good enough,
Mm.
you need to really work on being an adult because an adult will stay awake and finish,
Yeah.
right? So all this stuff that I could borrow from other people, right?
Yeah.
Or I could borrow from books, or I could borrow from TV, whatever, to assign meaning to this fact,
Mhm.
right? Or I could pull that back, right? And just acknowledge you're tired.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a 30-minute nap and try
Yes.
again,
Yes.
right? Or do you want to go home, get a full 7 hours of sleep, and start fresh
Mm.
tomorrow, right? That's it, which kind of leads us
Yeah.
to our third way of getting to neutral, right? It's like,
Yes.
what's the action based on the facts? But I mean, I hope that's helpful. I don't want it to come across as insensitive, but I've noticed
Yeah.
that these things that are real, your eyes are closing and you're waking up every 5 minutes realizing you were asleep. That is a real thing that is happening.
Yeah.
And it only takes on power when you assign meaning to it,
Mhm.
right? But it doesn't necessarily have to have that meaning.
I love that how you acknowledged that getting to neutral is not a one-time event, right, Karla? It
Mhm.
is consistent work to get to neutral.
Yeah.
Because every time we get to neutral, we readjust. We have a new position to then get back to neutral. And I
Mhm.
think about when I had a season-ending injury when I tore my ACL and what should have been the best season of my life. It was unbelievable to me. I could not believe that my reality was a torn knee ligament versus being out on the field, being a leading goal scorer. And I think that first piece is the acceptance. Like, this is my
Mhm.
reality. Stop arguing with your reality,
Mhm.
because the longer we argue with reality, the less time we have to move through it, right? So it's just like accepting that reality, accepting those emotions in order to be able to move through it, in order to be able to get to neutral. And it's a
Absolutely.
constant thing, right? It's a constant thing.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
for the third, since we have number 1 is feel it, don't fall for it. Number 2 is focus on the facts.
Mhm.
Number 3 is visualize the win. About
Yes.
that.
Yes. So I've kind of talked about when we focus on the facts, it starts to become clear what our most important next step is, right?
Mhm.
Or what that next right step is based on those facts, right? And then we might start to experience either indecision about what that next step is, because we have some options,
Mhm.
might feel some fear around it, some anxiety. Can I do it? Am I able to do it? You know, and so how do we push back past that? I
Yeah.
think is visualizing ourselves winning,
Yes.
right? I think
Yes.
it's visualizing ourselves taking that next right step, and seeing it work out beautifully,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Again, staying in neutral, we don't, imagine the heavens opening and the
Yeah.
symphony singing and the,
Yeah.
pixie dust or whatever floating all over us. We learn to fly. That's not realistic.
Yes.
That comes from like the positivity camp. But realistically, visualizing yourself winning,
Mhm.
having taken that next right step,
Mhm.
and achieving, it actually is going to release the chemical, right?
Mhm.
Chemical reaction that says we can do this, right? And
Yes.
it's going to
Yes.
propel you forward. You're going to feel the win inside your
Yes.
body. So, yeah.
Yeah. And listening to, some of the top athletes, listening to Dr. Michael Gervais, who's a high performance psychologist, what you're saying is that you visualize the win as in what's important. And when you hear Michael Phelps talk, he visualized every single scenario of a race.
Yeah.
He visualized, if I dove into the pool, my goggles fell down, what am I going to do?
Mm.
So, because it's empowering, isn't it, Karla, to know that
Mhm.
whatever happens, I will have a plan in place that I can take that next right step. So,
Mhm.
like you said, it's not visualizing the best base scenario. That's part of it, but it's also visualizing what could happen. What is my reality? What could happen if it doesn't go the exact way I want it to? And what's going to be my next right step? So no matter
Mhm.
what, you feel prepared for that moment. So I
Absolutely.
love that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Here we go. We're getting to neutral. We had our three steps.
I'm just so privileged to sit with you. I own my sense of inadequacy, right? Like, I'm a little lawyer over here sitting at my desk.
I am not staying up till 10, okay, doing all these lawsuits. So I am in mad respect and admiration for you for how hard you work.
And I
So
appreciate that. But like you being out there with thousands of people watching,
hard.
and it depends on your body, right? And
Yeah,
like tenths of an inch make a difference,
I know.
like
I know.
mad respect.
Oh,
So
thank you,
yeah.
Karla. It's been such a pleasure talking about 3 ways to get to neutral today. I love seeing your smile and your energy in this world. Thanks to everyone who tuned in today. The body has limits, but the mind is limitless. Let's go, Karla.
Let's
Yes.
go.
Dropping knowledge.